Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, my name is Tim. I am the host of the Glass House Media Talk Show. If you're wondering what this video is about, I'm gonna do something a little different today. Don't worry, I'll still be doing my normal segment covering all the news, all the breaking information, covering the election and all that fun stuff. But before we get to that, I wanted to do this video because I think it's deeply important to understand something. I think it's deeply important to understand why Donald Trump has such massive support amongst the Republican Party. So if you like what you're watching, if you like this video, share it with your friends, make this video go viral, because what I'm about to say is of the utmost importance. So as our nation prepares for a Joe Biden presidency, I want to examine why it is that Donald Trump was elected to office in the first place, and why it is that he has such massive support amongst the Republican Party. And so if you are still today trying to understand why it is that Trump was elected, watch the rest of this video, and hopefully you will walk away with some understanding of why Trump was elected to our nation's highest office. If you're curious as to why Donald Trump was elected at all, this video is for you. So if you'll recall, all the way back to 2016, we can very plainly see that the majority of the Republican Party wanted nothing to do with Donald Trump. We wanted people like Marco Rubio or Ted Cruz or even Jeb Bush was at one point viewed to be a better choice than Donald Trump. Most Republicans thought he was brash, distasteful, and even today they will admit he's a grossly immoral person. He was whittled down to be the last candidate, about 3 to 4 candidates at a time. And even in the election, upwards of 2/3 of Trump voters voted for him because he wasn't Hillary Clinton. It wasn't until he became president that the Republican Party became so attached to this incredibly bellicose and often belligerent man. I've been asked multiple times over the past several weeks leading up to and following this election, how can Christians support this man? The reason for this, I think, is more obvious than people would like to realize. Now, disclaimer, I'm not a Republican. I haven't been for some time. I'm a registered independent. Leaning right, but I can understand why Trump was elected because the Republican Party and I share something in common. We were both viciously and ruthlessly bullied. And the Republican Party has been bullied for decades. Tim Pool once said, Donald Trump is an imperfect avatar of the rage of the American people. I think this accurately summarizes why Donald Trump was elected. Once again, Donald Trump was not elected for his policy positions, his intelligence, or even his ability to run a business. He was elected because, again, he wasn't Hillary Clinton. At the time, he was viewed as the second worst candidate in American history. And he was running against the first worst candidate of American history. And this worst candidate in American history, her beliefs were in line with the average Democrat. And she repeated every single attack against the Republican Party that had been launched time and time again for decades. If you still don't understand why Trump was elected, keep watching. You will very soon. Every single line of attack that has been leveled against Donald Trump has been leveled against every single Republican to run for public office since before Ronald Reagan. Regardless of how moral of a person they were, regardless of how many kids they helped, regardless of how amazing people they were, every single line of attack launched against Donald Trump has been launched against every single Republican. From George H.W. Bush to his son, George W. Bush. From John McCain in 2008 to Mitt Romney in 2012. And now we see it again with Donald Trump, Amy Coney Barrett, Brett Kavanaugh, and anyone else willing to voice any kind of support for any of the aforementioned Republicans. And then, after they leave office, all of a sudden, they are great people again. People of great moral character. We saw this exact phenomenon happen with both John McCain and Mitt Romney. And as Ben Shapiro puts it, to the left, the only good Republican is a dead one. Even worse, vast swaths of media outlets have become the propaganda arm of the Democratic Party, which we on the right refer to as the media. And the media call those Trump supporters uneducated, deplorable, racist, bigots, homophobes, transphobes, rapists, liars, cheats. The list goes on and on and on and on. Michelle Obama tweeted out that half of Americans voted to keep the status quo, to keep hate and bigotry. Republicans in America have been bullied for decades. And until 2016, no one did anything about it. So what did they do? They found the biggest guy in school. They found the guy who was willing to punch back. And they made best friends with him. They didn't care about his character. They didn't care about his personality flaws. They didn't care if he was well liked. They didn't care that he had a big temper and a bigger mouth. All they cared about was that they just wanted to stop getting picked on. The Republican Party wanted to stop getting proverbially shoved in lockers and thrown into trash cans. They wanted security, and he was the only one to offer it to them. So, if you want to see reconciliation between Americans, if you want things to return to any sort of normalcy, start by not calling half of Americans nasty, disgusting, and baseless names. Stop accusing people of racism when there is none to be found. Stop suggesting that large swaths of Americans don't believe that Black lives matter. Because if love and unity is what you seek, that starts, and it looks like loving and befriending people that you don't agree with. You can't simultaneously preach a message of unification and then write off half of Americans as though they don't care about basic human decency. Because not one American with more than 2 brain cells disagrees with the sentiment that Black lives matter. Not one American with a functioning prefrontal cortex believes that some people are inherently less valuable than others. Disagreeing on policy positions does not mean that we disagree on basic human decency. And this is the voice of the unheard and the bullied Christian conservative. Thanks for watching. My next segment will be up here in a couple of hours, and I will see you all then.